those of you that don't know me that well, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a technical guy. I've never been a coder. Um, and the idea behind these calls was to just kind of demonstrate, like, what's the experience going to be like for me if I'm not a tech person, right? And I think that this is maybe the third or fourth call that we've done, and um, it hasn't been easy. Uh, and I thought I was going to show up today with like this big breakthrough, because one of the things that let's see here. Sorry, I'm getting a text message here. I'm doing a lot of getting us in front of the right people, I guess you'd say. So one of the things that I did last night, right? So, and just to recap, for those who haven't caught the previous episodes, I had something that was almost built, and I wanted to just show you guys kind of like what it took for me to get to that almost built stage. And then it broke. And then I started over with another one and was making a lot of progress with that. And then it broke. So I started over again. And here's what I like, lesson learned. I don't like get frustrated or discouraged when it breaks, because I'm getting repetitions, and repetition is the mother of skill, right? I'm getting practice. I'm seeing things that I would have never seen just as as a non-technical business professional. I would have never seen some of these situations that have arisen from trying to debug this stuff. And you know what I think? I was thinking about this yesterday. If I was just a straight coder, just a regular software developer, and I knew how to code and those sorts of things, right? It wouldn't be perfect the first time I hit the keys. I would run the program, and I would need to debug it, and it would need to get checked again, and it would get debugged and that sort of thing. So if you're having this experience of working with these vibe code tools, and it's frustrating for you, the coder who's not using these tools, they're doing the same thing, right? They're just not enabled by the tools. But if they're writing code, even if they've got 20 years experience, what they're building is buggy. Like it's not correct the first time out. So they're going through the same process that you and I are going through. So we are coding and we're debugging, but we're doing it just using a different set of tools. So it is different in some ways, but it's also similar in a lot of ways. So with that being said, a breakthrough that I had last night, this might be something that you would want to do on a personal level, is I compiled a number of resources. I follow a lot of the AI crowd on X, because I like that, because you're hearing about stuff almost immediately, and there's a lot of noise in the marketplace about AI and tools and things like that. But in X, the signal surfaces very quickly, because you're going to have, like, if you see something that's cool and then the next person's posting about it, the next person's posting about it, okay, this is something I should probably be paying attention to. I don't see that like in LinkedIn necessarily. LinkedIn's got its purposes, but for being very close to the bleeding edge in AI, I found that X is the best place to be. So obviously with OpenClaw and Claude Code and CoWork and those sorts of things really being kind of sucking the oxygen out of the room when it comes to talking about AI recently, there's been a lot of information in there from people like me who are doing things and saying, oh, I've had a breakthrough, and here's what I'd do differently next time. So yesterday, when the second attempt broke, I say second on for this experiment that we're doing on these things, I said, you know what? Okay, let's go back to the drawing board. I'm totally cool with it, but let me get all of these X posts where people were like, hey, make sure you do it this way, or these are the 10 things I'd do differently, or here's the fast way to do it. And I compiled about 7 or 8 kind of like instructional posts, and 2 or 3 that were more specific to the security environment for OpenClaw. And I went to the models and I said, okay, compile. We're going to get all this information, and I want you to work with me and let's create a plan based on this stuff. On I don't know the best way for me to start from scratch, like clean slate and go. And my agent just told me something. What did you just tell me? That you're broken again. I'm sure. No. So it did that, and it was kind of unintentional. But I said, okay, great. And it's like, well, what are you doing this for? I was like, well, you know, I want to use it myself. I want to learn this stuff, but I'll probably end up teaching some others. Like, oh, you want to teach it? Well, let's make a course. And I was like, let's make a course. So it took all that information, and it walked me through like very basic step by step by step by step. And as I would get a mistake, it'd go, hey, that's fantastic, because now we can use this as an example to show other people that like this is what can happen and those sorts of things. So if you're wanting to learn this stuff, again, you ain't going to learn it from me. You might learn something like what not to do from me. But if you want to learn this stuff, this concept that I stumbled upon of it wanting to work with me to make a course made it very easy, and everything was super clean and like just like, wow, this is the easiest one I've done until this morning. So, Joel, you have a kind or disparaging comment about my approach?
No, I've got an actual question.
Sure, go ahead.
Because we all know how kind of, you said bleeding edge. I mean, this is where you're
Yeah,
cutting your
yeah,
teeth, and this is really risky if you're going to
yeah.
use it for, public access to the internet, things like that. Chris, you and your team cater to enterprise organizations
Yeah.
and executives. What's the percentage of those types of customers, those enterprise customers that are actually like looking for help with deploying this in their environment? Or are they mostly just kind of playing around with it over here in a sandbox, and they're just kind of testing the water? They're not really considering it for deployment in
Yeah.
enterprise architecture.
So, not many, but here's what I noticed. Like I went and spoke at a commercial real estate event about 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And for those of you that are following this, like OpenClaw, I guess it's been around, but it really didn't start getting chatter as ClaudeBot until, I don't know, maybe like around Christmas or beginning of the year. It's pretty new.
Very
Um, and these were CEOs and presidents of companies, like doing good numbers, and they were more interested in the agent stuff than the stuff that we would want them to know, which is like, hey, here's how your people use it safely. Here's how you get started with blah blah blah. They were like, skip all that. Give me the magic, the shiny stuff.
the safer
So,
stuff, right?
well, they wanted to go straight into agents. They were like, tell me about this Claude bot. Well, let's
Like,
slow it.
whoa.
The promise, I mean, as Jensen Huang from his presentation at the NVIDIA event just last week told everybody watching, your business needs to have a Claude code strategy. I mean, a Claude bot strategy, right? Or OpenClaw strategy. And he wasn't necessarily talking about specifically OpenClaw, but he was talking about like whatever that mechanism is that can do these things, and you don't have it, like you need to figure that out, because prompting is great. GPTs are great, gems, automations, N8N, all great stuff. This thing is a different level. So I think that the people that are hearing that are hearing the shiny, but they're not flipping the coin over and going, oh, like by default, it's got ports open that every other ClaudeBot has, or I guess I'll start
And
calling it
I
OpenClaw.
believe there's just so much stuff that we don't know. And I mean, unless you're an expert in this, you may be, but I would say
Not,
you're not an expert in OpenClaw. You're here with the rest of us trying to figure it out.
yeah, yeah,
But any of those people that have that level of knowledge, they also know that there are some serious, potentially exploitable
oh yeah,
things that are just built in, and nobody but the experts know, or we won't know
yeah,
that until we get a security audit that goes through and says,
yep,
oh, by the way, you've got 5,500 ports open, and here's what the damage.
yeah. So we're going to be addressing that. I was on the phone, like, as you know, you're in the community, but we've got a few cyber folks in there, Steve Brodson in particular, has volunteered a lot of his time to kind of like, hey guys, what's the risk, and do some training on that, right? I spent an hour with Steve on the phone on Saturday, and I think what we're going to end up doing is probably holding a class, like maybe even a 1 day, like a Saturday, like all day. You want to set it up. You want to set it up right. We're going to start from scratch, and we're going to go right. And I will be, I guess, the dummy in the room while Steve is doing the thing. So I'll be asking a lot of questions, and taking questions, obviously, from the audience. But I think it's going to take that. I mean, like with anything in AI, there wasn't a rule book. You just had to go in there and figure things out, right? And I've been very successful at that until this. If all I did, like if I went to a hotel and said, "Honey, I'll be back in a few days," and just like locked it down and took some modafinil or whatever, like I would be good to go. I would figure this out, but I don't have that luxury to. There's too many distractions, and this is the type of thing to where you're right in the middle of debugging, and oh shit, I got a call, right? Like,
Is it worth it?
stuff.
I mean, for you, you're CEO of a company. Is it worth it for you to spend this much time on that type of thing? Because
I want to
it's more for
understand.
knowledge.
Yeah, that I want to understand it, because if I understand what it can do, then when I go in to solve at a business, I'm gonna have a solution through the context of what's possible with this upgrade in technology, right? Instead of saying, "Oh, we need to build an automation," and "Oh, here's a prompt library," or whatever, the basics. I'm going to be able to just skip all of that in some cases and say, "Okay, here's a solution." And I think that as a chief AI officer who's out there offering services, either to internal clients or external clients, right? If you're still working at a company, if you're the person who can come and install even something like a chief of staff bot for their role, priceless. Like that is a huge win. I had one working. It's not working now.
But do you
But when it
need
was,
that? Do you need that with OpenClaw when you've got so many other tools like through the formal AI tools?
you know, my experience has been the accessibility on the phone with Telegram or iMessage has made it very easy. Um, I, yeah, I'm whatever the mechanism was. If I could get something to get that result for every CEO, I think they'd say, "Wow, I got my money's worth." Right? Like now I've got this thing. It just happens to be the shortcut seems to be um, OpenClaw at this point, right?
Okay.
Um,
And I hear, I mean, I watch the news just like you do. Every other day there's some other company out there saying, "Hey, don't use OpenClaw. We fixed it. We made it secure." And I'm like, I don't believe that at all. you know,
you
so
know,
what you're
I kind of look at it like this, right? Like if I know how to prompt, I can go to Gemini, I can go to Mistral, I can go to it doesn't matter.
saying.
I think for anybody who's serious about AI, regardless of the tool that you're using, by trying to set up OpenClaw, even if it becomes something else, it's causing a neural pathway to get created that doesn't exist now. You have to think about things differently. Just like thinking in AI, we call it thinking in builds now, right? So I would encourage anybody to do it, even if it's just a YouTube video that's like, here's the simplest way to do it. Even if you don't use the tool that much, by getting in motion with it and not being a spectator, but actually being a participant, you're going to learn things that are going to be useful. Maybe not today, but I mean, OpenAI has got a big interest in OpenClaw. They're going to dial this in. Claude Code and Cowork, like it's going to get better. They released Dispatch and things like that today, channels now, so this paradigm of a tool, whether it's OpenClaw or ClaudeBot or Moltbot or Claude Code or whatever, that category of tool is here to stay.
Okay.
Just like an LLM, right? LLMs had, but I'm also, maybe I don't go to my OpenClaw to run the crit framework or to run a reverse prompt or something, right? So I'm still going to have an LLM, but I'll also have this thing that maybe is running those cron jobs for me and surfacing things that I know that, like, oh shit, it's 4:50. I don't have time to do this. Oh, I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to have it at 5:02, right? Like, I think that knowing that as a human knowledge worker, that I've got devices or things out there that are allowing my brain to go from this to this, essentially, as far as like ingestion, synthesis, signal identity. Um, like that was all up to the gray matter before. Now I've got bits and bytes that can help me do that same thing. So I don't see this going away. And I think that it's only going to get easier, just like now with the models. I don't have to be good at prompting. It's more important that I give it context, and the models will figure out the prompt, right?
Right.
I think the same thing's going to happen to this, to where one thing that's missing is voice interaction, right? Like I can dictate to it, but it can't talk back to me. I can set some stuff up, but it's not built in. Yeah. So Jose, I've got one on an old MacBook over here. I've got one on a DigitalOcean server. I've got one on an AWS server. I've got a Mac Mini. And I think the first one I installed was on my live, the MacBook Air that I use. So I need to probably kill that one. But take the small tasks first. And with anything with AI, I would encourage that to kind of be the approach, whether you're coming into somebody else's company to do stuff. There's that MIT study with a 95% failure rate. It was because of a lot of it had to do with the scope and the planning required to do big scope projects. With this stuff, there's already so many things that can break, that if you're trying to do something too ambitious and you're dealing with all the things that are going to break in the meantime. And I guess I'll just jump in and I'll kind of show you guys the process I've been going through this morning or since last night. And again, the real win for me was, let's see here, where am I? Cool. The real win for me was when I started over and it started working with, and let me pull up Claude Code. So I'll kind of run you guys where I had this breakthrough. Okay. What is this? No. Okay. Now it's acting weird. There we go. Okay. Where are you, Claude? There we go. This is interesting. I guess when it compacted, it got rid of it. Did. So as I was explaining earlier, I fed a lot of these like user guides in, compiled them, synthesized them into like what are the patterns we're seeing here, and sorry, there we go. And the first part was easy, and it kept saying, "Hey, great, like no problem. Oh, this is good," because it had been working with me through some of the issues that I had. And it was like, "Oh no, now we're cooking. Like now it's working really well." And then something happened this morning. So my main tool was, I was using Cowork to see if Cowork could help me, because I thought, hey, I'm going to build a course out of this. Let's test out Cowork. And as you can see, I haven't done a lot on, at least on this computer, in Cowork. So this was, two birds, one stone. And since last night, it has been, I mean, you can see the bulk of this has been, and it keeps compressing these, but the bulk of this has been it giving me things to fix, me running it, giving it the output, and it's going, oh, now here's something else to fix. Now let's something else to fix. So, and I'm not trying to do anything with it yet. I'm just trying to like get it set up to where it's got the tools that it needs. So you can see, like, run this. Okay, here you go.
What's the first thing you're going to make it do? Is it compiling stuff for your podcast, or?
No, the first thing that I want it to do is to be that extra gray matter. I want it to, because we've got the services side, we've got a B2C side, which is on the certifications and the trainings. There's a lot going on. And when the business was smaller and leaner, I had my finger in everything.
Oh yeah.
And I had a better sense of the soul of the business. As it's expanded, I've had to not be that, and we got people who can handle a lot of that stuff.
Right.
But I still want to be informed about what's happening in my business, good, bad, or ugly, red light, yellow light, or green light, right? So for me, it would be something that I knew that I don't have to be in Slack, I don't have to be in my email, I don't have to be everywhere all at once. That there's something that's, and in OpenClaw, they have this thing, Heartbeat, which runs every, you can set the timing of it, but it runs something that runs regularly. So I've set this up to where it runs every hour, and it just does, it scours it. And it's only going to surface like red light stuff real time. Everything else, I'll get the summary in the morning. And what that allows me to do is, we're all busy. But if the first thing you do in the morning is get sucked into the busyness, productive day, I don't know, maybe not, maybe you're just firefighting all day. So for me, it was something that I could start my day with that would give me red light, yellow light, green light on everything that's happening in the business, and then allow me to decide which fire am I going to go fight, as compared to, there's smoke here, there's smoke there, which one, something like that. Outside of that, I think that for any of these tools, as you use them, you have that, oh, maybe I could do this or that. So I think just in the process of working with it in that manner, it was going to surface additional things. Okay. I'm not that interested in doing like, oh, it can create a bunch of LinkedIn posts. I'm not that interested. What I really would want though would be, once I've got that, it now understands my process and holes in my process, like our holistic process of fulfillment. It would understand which client avatars were probably the best ones for us to work with, and which ones, because you don't want to work with every client that you can. Some of them, are going to be more work than they're worth. So through the process of getting that, my goal is to have it see patterns related to the business that I am missing. Hey, we've had 4 chief AI officers in the past month mention this. Maybe we should build something that addresses that. Great idea, right? And with the chief AI officers that we've got that are working with us, they communicate, but they're not like, they don't share a hive mind. So something that might seem inconsequential to this chief AI officer, if they would have shared it to this one, would have been like, oh, that's the exact information I was looking for, right? So there's a lot of that's happening just in any business in general. And this was going to be that thing that would catch all of that, right? Or not say will catch all of that, and then inform me and say, here's a trend that nobody's noticed. Let's fix that. Here's an opportunity. You've had 8 clients say this same exact thing.
And because
she said it. Go ahead.
And because you already have the underlying agents and systems set up, you could say, okay, now I know what I want to point you at. Go tell me when there's a red light in that scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And it will only get better at understanding what a red light is and being preemptive on red light identification as it has more reps working with me and me giving it more feedback. Let me see if there's any questions here. Nicole says, Facebook groups, and recently a lot of discussion has been about OpenClaw using so many tokens that it becomes unusable because it shuts down or becomes too expensive. What's the solution? Jose's saying he's using the VPS and an LM installed. So one of the things that I did, Nicole, was I had it, I worked with the models to say, I'm going to be an OpenClaw. I'm going to have a bunch of different, I don't want one model to do everything. So it said, use Kimi 2.5 for this, use DeepSeek for this. And on some stuff, yes, Chinese model, yes, it's free. But on some stuff, that's okay. And then just this morning, I saw a post. It was with the guy who created Claude Code. He was doing an interview with Greg Eisenberg. And he said, always use the best model. Greg's like, well, that's the most expensive model. He said, no, it's not. That's the best model. It's expensive when you use the cheap models trying to save money, because it's going to take it's not, they're not as good as the most expensive, as the the highest powered model. So even though the tokens may cost more at 4.6 Opus, you're going to use fewer tokens. Now, if I'm doing I'm not saying stupid, trivial things with it, I don't need Opus 4.6. But if I'm doing like real work, he was suggesting that the better the model, the cheaper the ultimate cost will be, because it won't require as much compute as many times to get to the final answer. But to answer your question, Nicole, what I did was I had a decision switcher, essentially, that if it's this task, we go to 5.4. If it's this task, we go to Kimi 2.5. If it's this task, we do, Gemini 3 Lite or something like that. So it's not using the same model for everything, was my approach, but we'll see. All right, let's see if there's any other questions here. Okay. Content creation started yesterday. Okay, great, Salvador, that's fantastic. Yeah, let us know when you do launch it. But I'm glad to see that I'm not the only person. I don't know if I'm glad. It's encouraging to see that all these problems that I'm having aren't exclusive to me, that other people are having stuff working and then stop working. I know that somebody I spoke to this weekend that's on our team had built one, invested a lot of time and money in it, and she ended up having to kill it. It just quit working. So, but also, is there anybody here that worked on ChatGPT 2.0? Right? Like, sucked. I didn't, but it was like people were like, it's okay. 3.0 wasn't that great. 3.5 wasn't that great. But when the good models come out, like now that 4.6 is here, if you've been working with the ones that were harder to work with, you're better at 4.6, right? Like, you've already gotten the foundational skills. So I would suggest to anybody, even if it's frustrating right now, it's an exercise worth going through, even if you don't plan on building them, for you to understand it, because you, as that person who's going to be leading the AI conversation in your organization or your network or whatever, you need to have context and not just go, oh, it doesn't work, right? Like, how can you be a chief AI officer and say, oh, I don't use Claude because Claude can't do it? Well, when's the last time you used it? Oh, it was a few months ago. Not the same tool, right? So I would suggest that even though it's frustrating right now, that what you're doing is, when the tech isn't as frustrating and it is more stable, you will be able to, there's no learning curve for you at that point. You're able to go, hand me the keys, I know how to drive, instead of like, oh, what's this? So I would say still go through it. And I just realized that all that work that we had done, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask it real quick. Hey, Claude, so yesterday we started from scratch with an OpenClaw install, and we were exploring it through that chapter 1 lens of a training course. Can you walk me through some of the steps that we did initially that were suggested from some of those X posts that I provided you? So I think this will help some of you, at least. It'll give me some clarity on what we did, because look at this. This is all that's left of that thread, and I spent hours. That sucks. I compacted it. That's it's not the only thing, but it's a big thing that I don't like about Claude, is it compacting because of the context limitations. Oh, here we go. Oh, perfect. Let me see if this is the sessions. This is the lessons learned. Let me see here. Well, I open this sucker. Let's see here. I'll run you guys through kind of what the lessons learned were before it kind of went off the rails. Let's do this. Let's add. Okay. This was interesting. So I've had this DigitalOcean droplet up for about a month, and it made sure it really wanted to tell me that there had been 16,000 attacks on that. Right, like that's just what's happening to everybody's VPS installs of Claude right now. Okay, there was some issues here, like OpenClaw installs in root.openclaw.workspace, not OpenClaw. Like that dot prefix makes it a hidden directory. You don't know that until you make a mistake, right? Listen to little things. OpenClaw uses uppercase file names by default. Every source we researched used lowercase in their examples, and that matters, as you know. The context and the syntax matters when you're coding. The agent itself corrected our wrong workspace path command and offered the right one. That's cool. That's like been my experience with OpenClaw, is that it's for active. A couple of things that I did that I think were good moves. There's a number of files like this user.md, this user.markdown file, right? It's explaining to OpenClaw like who is this person on the other side of the screen? Me. I happened to somebody had done. Let me share that with you guys. So contact. I mean, what are you going to tell the models about yourself? My name's Chris. I'm 53 years old. I got 5 kids. Great. That's not necessarily going to mean that I get better output, but I had happened to, let me jump into this. I'm going to share this resource here. Somebody had done something, and I was like, oh, this, I was drinking a cup of coffee and did this. I'm going to put this in the comments here. It is a personality test, and it's a big personality test, like a long one. And I was in Charleston. I was sitting at a coffee shop, and I did it. It probably took me 30 minutes. I just shared that here. I thought, this will be interesting. Is it accurate? Turns out this was a fantastic context document to feed user.md, because it, by doing this, it's like 8 or 9 of the like the most respected personality tests or indexes out there. So I had this form that I was able to give to the model, and now it knew, like, it was spot on as far as how to communicate with me, how I like to see information. Like, it knew behavioral things about me that were influencing how it was asking questions, the direction it was taking things, and the format that it was. Wait a minute. Are you? You're not replying, are you? Nope. Been trying to get this working all morning. So that was very helpful with the user.md file. It just made it very easy for me to get that up. Let's see here. Where's my doc? Here we go. Why it matters: an agent that knows how to talk to you, but not what you do, is only half configured, right? So not only did I give it that, but I also gave it. We had one of our chief AI officers create. Let me see if I can pull that document up. A shared context document that talks about us, our products, our mission and core values, our ideal avatar, our blah 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 blah. It had all that stuff, right? If you don't have one of those built, you should, and you can use the models. You could probably, if you've been working with the same model, you can probably just go in there and say, hey, you know plenty about me. I need a user.md file. I need a an agents.md file, like here, right? And you could probably have the models give you version 1 of these. So the agents document had multiple blah blah blah. Bootstrap was essentially, it's the birth certificate of the agent. So this one didn't have one. Memory system. The memory system does not exist after a default install. That's right. So it created a memory.md and learnings.md for me, which are both. These are kind of like for the bot. It's user manual. Like, okay, what does it need me to do? How does it want me to think? How does it want me to behave? All of these markdown files are like that. Heartbeat. Okay. So by using that context document that I had, right, it says that was extremely helpful. gave the agent immediate rich context from the first session rather than waiting weeks for it to accumulate organically. Most people start with a blank memory.md and wait for the agent to fill it in. Learnings is the most underappreciated file in the entire system. The idea behind this was that, and this was from one of those X posts, that if it makes, is that me? Are you guys hearing that?
No.
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 Hold on a second. Some movie just started playing. Okay, let me share my screen again. Yeah, the claw is coming for me.
Aren't these files that you're talking about, aren't they also in regular Claude, not, OpenClaw?
I don't know about learnings.
I know memory is, and
yeah, some of these are, and like the skills files are transferable between now, ChatGPT, Manus, Claude, and OpenClaw. And in the past, we would go into a company, we would document a process, and we might create a custom GPT so that that process was followed the same way over and over again, right? Now, skills are moving into a competitive stance for that custom GPT for an SOP. So, and that the X docs that I had, they were suggesting, specifics. Oh, you need to have this skill. And now there's full skill libraries that are baked into OpenClaw installs, and you just say, hey, add the 1Password skill. I haven't looked at those, but now it's got instructions on how to access those, on how to use those. Use 1Password correctly. See if there's anything else exciting that came out of this. Heartbeat architecture. Okay, so these are kind of geeky. I guess they don't really matter if you've never set one of these up, but so the heartbeat is the one that runs on a regularly checking to see, is there any tasks that I need to be doing? And I suggested that it be a cron job and not in heartbeat, because they want your heartbeat file to be, like it says here, every word in heartbeat.md runs, in this case, 48 times per day. So token efficiency matters enormously for heartbeat design. I didn't know that. Now I do. Non-technical users tend to write verbose instructions because they're accustomed to explaining things thoroughly. Context, prompting, right? And heartbeat, this is a direct financial cost. So Nicole, it could have something to do with the files that are running as well. It's great to have a bot, right? I mean, even if it was like a home bot. Oh, we've got a plan for the family, vacation. Oh, and we've got groceries. Oh, and I've got the children's schedule, like all of those things, right? If you just put that all in one thread, the context in that thread is it's just going to be a hot mess, right? It'll only be good for immediate question response. It won't be good for considered ideation. And OpenClaw, that was my experience as well. So I was looking for a solution if we've got these different areas of the business, I want to be able to talk to ideally one agent, but about this topic or that topic. So the takeaway there was creating a group in Telegram, and which I set up. Let me see, is my screen sharing here? Is my screen sharing?
Not yet.
Try
No.
this again. Okay. Let's see here. Where was I? Yeah. And then I'll pull up my Telegram. So where it started breaking this morning was I had this agent Dash, was working great. I was able to do command line instructions in the agent rather than going into the terminal and all those kind of things. And we were just cooking, right? It was helping me set all this stuff up. I was going great. And then I wanted to set up the groups. Now it's, you need, what is this? Ops and admin, general, content and podcast, research, chief of staff, and client work. set all that up, great. And now for the past, I don't know, since 6 a.m. this morning, catching as I could, like, in between stuff, I've been trying to get it to work, but it is, that's currently where we're stuck. Let's see what else we got here. The bot must be promoted to admin. So this is kind of an interesting way to work, where instead of just just wrestling with it and fighting through it, by letting the models know, or Claude Cowork at this point, know that I wanted to create a training guide out of this, it really paid attention to everything that was happening, and was able to not just like solve a problem, but solve that problem and go, oh, there's context here that we would want to include as a lesson for others. Says here, the Comet browser agent handled the entire Telegram setup, group creation. Okay. I think you guys know I'm a big fan of using the agents in the browsers. This did work. The research workflow worked correctly on the first live test, and now it doesn't. Research the client. The security side, at the time of hardening, the VPS had logged 16,000 failed SSH login attempts and had banned 1,100, almost 1,200 IP addresses. 10 attacks were active at the moment that it checked. Right, this is a brand new install. Now, it had been on a box that had been up for a while. The agent I had up there, I had killed it. But it was a brand new install. And this VPS had been deployed since February, probably like the end of February, so not even a month. It's automated scanning that hits every internet exposed server within hours of provisioning, right? So security hardening is not paranoia, it's table stakes. UFW does not automatically replace existing rules. Tail scale. Boy, we did a lot yesterday. Real tests, of course. Throughout the session, the agent proactively identified its own configuration issues, suggested correct file path, and flagged incomplete firewall rules without being asked. CIOs should be taught to treat their agent as a participant in its own setup, not just a passive recipient of its instructions. So this is what we did yesterday, and everything was working great. And then session 2 was to work on these files, and that's when it quit being fun. It started getting, it went from being fun into like, okay, now I'm learning something. Not that I don't like learning, but so that's kind of where I'm at today. I was in the process of where were we here? Okay. And guys, this is what the bulk of this has looked like for me. I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so I'm copying this. I'm working directly in an SSH, which is a direct connection from my laptop into my DigitalOcean server. And I'm doing that through terminal right here. And I don't know that you're going to learn much, but you're going to at least to see in the wild what's going on here. So it's suggested that I paste that. I'm going to paste that. Okay. I did that. And where's my output here? So that was, I'm going to show it the output. So what I do, it's try to fix stuff for me. It'll say, run this. Great. Do this. And then I'll give it back. There's no SQLite on the host either. Python can read it natively. Okay, so now it's suggesting that I run this. And here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to feed it back what I just put in there. And then it's going to look at that. Now, if I didn't have Claude Code or AI as a programmer, I would have typed that out, tried to run it. It would have broken, and I would have had to go through and go, okay, what's wrong? What's wrong? As whatever I am, I'm able to say, you write the code, oh, here's what it said. Now you fix it. Just back and forth, back and forth. Now, if I was able to access this in directly through the DigitalOcean web browser, I wouldn't even have to do that. It would be able to use the OpenClaw browser controller, or no scheduled tasks, it's probably control plane. I don't even know what this output means, and I don't have to. That's kind of the beauty. Let's update it now explicitly with specify. Okay, we're going to run this. Okay, and I'm going to feed it back what it just gave me. We can see what the output was. But it's also suggesting, let's see here. So if there was the best part right now would be if I wasn't having to copy paste. But if I can make, I don't know, as an agent builder, you get good at this, you could probably build one in a day, easy for somebody. And I know people are charging out in the Bay Area $5,000 to set one of these up for somebody. If I can make 25 grand a week copy pasting, short term, not a bad thing. But I'm looking for a little more stimulation than copying and pasting. Okay. So I just ran that. Let's see here. I'm going to feed it back. So this isn't the sexy part by any stretch. Let me see. Are there any questions, any comments, any? Okay. And I know that, here's what I can tell you. If you don't like what I'm doing here, ask for a refund. I'll be happy to give you no money back because this didn't cost you anything. The intention of these calls, again, wasn't to say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the expert at this, I'm going to show you. It was for you to be able to be a fly on the wall and witness what the experience has been like for me, and hopefully learn something from me that will make this experience, I don't know, less friction for you. So if you're on here and you're like, wait a minute, this guy sucks. Yeah. Yep. But for all of you, the path to learning starts with a phase called unconscious incompetence. You don't even know how bad you are at it until you start doing something. But by continuing, you become consciously incompetent. Oh my gosh, there's a lot that I need to learn about this stuff. You stick with it and you start to become consciously competent. You start to realize, hey, I'm getting pretty good at this stuff. And then ultimately you get to where you're unconsciously competent, where you don't even have to think about it. You're just doing it. So what you guys are witnessing here is the same process that you're going to go through. I don't care if you've got, an engineering degree. If the shit's broke and you didn't have anything to do with it, it's just broke. So your degree, your 20 years, whatever, doesn't mean that you're not going to have these experiences with trying to set up OpenClaw, right? Okay, so it's now saying that it's fixed. DM the bot directly. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if this sucker is going to do it. Okay, here's the bot. Hi, bot. Up here. Aha. So this is telling me that there's no API key for, okay. So I'm going to let it know. This is what happened. Let's also check the log. I mean, it's just like I don't even know what I'm doing right now. I'm just I'm feeding it. Now what, boss? Now what, boss? Right? That's pretty much, that's the human's role at this point. See, we're just going to keep doing this. We're just going to keep repeating it. Now, again, I am using Cowork by design. Would Claude Code have been any better? Maybe, but they tell me that Cowork is Claude Code for the knowledge worker, so that they don't have to be intimidated by command line. Would chat have fixed it? I don't know. Would using 5.4 in OpenAI come up with a better, faster solution? I don't know. But you guys are more than welcome to try it and let us know what the story is here. Yeah, get a VA to do the copying and pasting. Probably not a bad idea. So let's see what it says here. But I don't know that I would trust the VA to know that something was working. And the reality is, if I wasn't doing this on DigitalOcean, I was doing it on AWS. For some reason, DigitalOcean opens up the terminal, the command line environment, in a separate, like a pop-up. And the Comet browser can't work with that pop-up for whatever reason. Okay. So you see what's happening here. Like, I'm giving it its information. It's seeing stuff. It's going, try this. So it said OpenClaw agents help. See what happens here. Okay. Well, here's what it gave me. Before I hit enter, I'm also going to get this file here and run that. Okay. Feed this back in. Okay. Let's see what it says. Now, if I really wanted to understand this stuff, if I felt that this part of the process was something that I would need for recall, I'd be paying attention to this. But what's more important to me as the driver of AI, and not necessarily like, I don't have any ambition to be the coder, the monster energy drink at 2 a.m. to build stuff. That's not what I want to do. If I did, I'd be paying a lot more attention to what's happening here and the syntax and try to debug the logic of what it's doing, but I don't care about any of that. What I want is a tool that will address the whims that I have as a executive. That, hey, for improving a process, for finding information out about a potential prospect that I'm talking to, or whatever those things might be. And this to me is just making the sausage, right? So I don't really have that much invested into what's happening. Okay. Now we're on this install because yesterday I did a debug and finally I was like, look, man, would it be easier to just kill this and start from scratch? And Claude was like, yeah, we've been working on this 45 minutes. It'll only take 15 minutes to get your OpenClaw installed. I was like, 15 minutes? That was yesterday at whatever time, right? So look, this is, I'll just keep feeding the beast. And it's almost like this dopamine environment, right? Like, maybe this command will work. Maybe this will be the one, because I have had those moments. But at this point, let's say I'm due for one of those, because it's been I'm not frustrated by it, because this is like, what am I going to do? Not do this and just hope that I can stay, relevant? This is part of being an AI expert, because I could sit with somebody and if they're like, oh, OpenClaw is easy, OpenClaw is great. I said, well, tell me more, right? Like, I could sniff out the BS pretty easily now, because I dug the ditch, I made the sausage, I did the thing. So this is part of it for all of you. Hopefully, I'm an extreme example of what the friction would look like, and hopefully for all of you. I mean, there's places they say, oh, it's a one-click install. Boom. Yeah, the install was fine. It was the now what that was the problem for me. So I don't know if I gave anybody anything to ask questions about. Can you ask it to act as a self-healing agent? That's not a bad idea, if I could get it to reply. Because right now I'm still trying to get it to, it was responding to my messages earlier, right? Like, we were doing updates, it was doing all kinds of cool stuff. And then I hit this API rate limit reached. And I was on OpenAI 5.4. And this is like, we've been working on it for, I mean, it looks like a lot, but this is maybe, it wasn't that much. So the rate limit being hit was the weird thing. I'd never encountered that before. Went to go fix it. And I was like, oh, here's how you fix it. Pour gas on it, throw a match. That's how you fix it. So we're kind of like, we're in that phase right now of watching it burn. And now it's saying kill and do a clean restart. So I'd love to just like chase this little rat down all of its trails. But it's Monday at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I got things to do. I can't. I was up late last night and up early this morning, hoping that the promise that I had seen from the reinstallation yesterday would allow me to be able to show you guys, hey guys, oh, this is what it looks like when it's working, right? Watch this, boom, and then show you the magic. But I've still got stuff to learn, I guess you'd say. So anyway, again, I don't know how much longer you guys are going to hang on and watch me have these types of sessions, but my plan is that very soon, not only am I going to do it, but I think on the 11th, which is a Saturday, is the date that Steve Brodson and I had discussed doing just basically a one-day workshop. Show up, no install, or with an install, whatever. Leave with something that's working, that's been debugged. You were in an environment where, hey, what does this mean? Oh, let me fix that for you. Let me show you how to fix it. All those sorts of things. Oh, great. What is this one now, Terrence? This is a session that we're doing. Oh, you guys are doing it. Awesome.
All right, so I just wanted to post this. This is my meetup group that meets. It's AI Business Growth Tuesdays. Meets every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. on Pacific time. And one of our very own CAIOs in training, Anthony Russell, Dr. Anthony Russell, he's going to show us what he's been working on, which I'm sure is going to be part of his capstone project. This is
great.
This is probably a warm-up. Don't quote me on that. I'm guessing, but he's spent a lot of time on this over the last couple months. So I know he's really excited about it, and this is a nice warm-up. And if anybody else needs, a warm-up for their presentation, hit me up. You can come as a guest speaker.
That's a great, That's a great suggestion. So if you guys want to get in front of an audience, Terrence has an audience. And Phil, I've got an answer for you here related to API diversion. Thank you, Perplexity. Under normal, correctly configured OpenClaw, API calls from one user session should not be diverted into another user session. But there are known scenarios where isolation can break if you misconfigure multi-agent routing or run into certain bugs. So I think if nothing else, if you're able to now go into a conversation and somebody says, oh, I'm an AI expert, and oh, me too, and you start talking, and they start talking about OpenClaw, if you've been through this process, either watching me or doing it yourself, I think that you're going to have an opinion if they start like, oh, OpenClaw, I'd put it in everything, blah, blah, blah. Like, wait a minute. Maybe you went to Anthony Russell's class and you didn't go to Chris Daigle's class. But the way Chris was doing it, I don't know, like, not so easy. So anyway, another session of digging into this stuff. I would encourage, like, all of you, do it. Go get you, I think Hetzner is an inexpensive server. I did AWS, I did DigitalOcean. There's plenty of them out there. Maybe play there before you install it on something that, physical. A lot of them have the one-click install. Well, that sounds complicated. It is. But if you use the models and you're able to copy and paste, doesn't matter how complicated it is. You're just like pushing it until it locks in. So, all right. join Anthony's class that Terrence is hosting. It'll be fantastic. We'll keep you guys posted on what that looks like with Steve coming in. Steve's session is not going to be like my session. Again, this was intended to be a, hey, let's experiment. So I was hoping the experiment would have yielded some gold by now, but not quite. Interesting. Okay, so Terrence, let us know how that M5 MacBook runs. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you in the community. And if you have any wins, we'd love to hear about them in the community. Take care, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Be safe.
Thanks. Bye, Alex.
Bye, guys. See you soon.